says live, but anytime I go back to check a replay, it does not always capture the first like 10 minutes or so. So that was a lot of so's right in that narrow little window of time. I really would love to be sitting outside right now, having my cup of coffee. It's glorious out there, sunshiny, all that jazz. Let's see how it's like 73, 74 out there. So that's a beautiful temperature to be sitting out there. However, it's so bright that I cannot see the screen here. So I'm just gonna stay right here in this chair and chat it up with you. So I titled this video, "How's returning to keto really going?" or something in that realm. And I have to say, so far it's fascinating to me what going back to my roots for doing keto has really done for me. I think when I was first doing ketogenic sort of like macros, I was really focused on carbs, obviously, and then also not overdoing the protein. And having come from the Trim Healthy Mama world right before that, I was definitely in a mindset that protein had to be with every meal, but it wasn't the solid focus of every meal. As far as like the largest quantity of food on my plate, it didn't have the most weight to my plate as far as, trying to get all my macros in. And I've also not really ever been a tracker. I've never enjoyed that piece of it. I do think that Trim Healthy Mama was valuable in that respect. Also, this lighting may not work out so well for me. Oh well. I getting off on the higher protein bandwagon. There were numerous studies that I had looked at and thought, you know what, that's it. That's what I need to be doing. And there was so much going on with the higher protein world. I thought, yes, I will be high protein. I know that that's going to be the thing. And I mentioned in my last live how I did not equate protein with the variable in the equation of health for myself. And now that I have been doing this for a few days, I definitely see how protein was much for me and how it was really actually causing me cravings that I was unaware regarding. Hello, Stephanie. You found me live. Hello. I'm having a fatty coffee right now, and that's weird to me. Not because it tastes like too much fat, but because it's a lot of extra work to put stuff into coffee once you get really comfortable drinking black coffee. And the mouthfeel is for sure different, but it's like so much more work to add stuff to your coffee instead of just pouring black coffee into the cup and consuming it. Hi, Virginia from South Carolina. But I really wanted to just sort of give a few days in just a short little synopsis of the few things that I have already noticed as changes. The number one change I have seen is that I have been able to actually do a solid intermittent fast that has lasted for 12 hours, which is ridiculous because most people should be capable of that. I was always struggling with that because of how much protein I was eating, with how much I just constantly felt the need to, like, I felt hungry. Like I would feel full for like a solid 4 to 6 hours and then I'd be starving. And when I would wake up in the morning, I would be starving. So first and foremost, I was able to fast the first day, pulling back on protein and eating fat fully. I was able to go for 15 hours without truly thinking about it. So that is my first win with going back to my roots with regular old nutritional ketosis. And I've missed a couple of comments. Professor Toady, hi from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hello. Stephanie, you've just started black coffee, and thanks for, you're welcome. You're welcome. I do find such value in being able to drink coffee anyway, like any way you can, because I do love the coffee. I have turned into my grandmother, and she has since passed, but she would go through multiple pots per day, and I have for sure turned into her. And I missed another one. Trish from Pet Rain. Your name is Trish. You're always late. Have to watch the reruns. That's funny. I actually, true story, much prefer the replays on the lives that I watch because I can watch them on 1.5 speed or even 2 times speed. I'm a person who likes to receive content quickly because I find there is, if I let it play at its normal speed, even on Audible or on a podcast or anything, normal speed equals me getting distracted very easily. So I tend to listen to things on 1.5 speed usually, and so I like to watch the replays on lives usually. Like if I hit a live, I will go back to the beginning and double speed it to get to the live moments that are happening. However, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have, I should have waited. I should have waited because usually I can comment a few times here and there, but the long and the short of it is I'm usually listening while doing a lot of other things at the same time. So there's that, like doing physical things that don't require as much mental focus. That was an odd sound. Anyway, so there is that. I do like to hit the replays. Professor Toady, what is my daily fat gram target? I am targeting all the fat. Yes, my target is yes. I do not like to track. So that kind of comes to my next point, is that I have been feeling very satiated and I felt some of my inflammation kind of going down. I stepped on the scale and I had dropped from morning to morning, like 24 hours fasted from, waking up, taking a weight, to the next morning, waking up, taking a weight. I did drop over 1.2 pounds of water weight, which was very cool. I did not realize that that was really being held onto by my body. But I don't really track. I have tracked on Carb Manager quite a few times, and I've shared a few of those videos here on my channel for what I eat in a day videos, just so that I can give people an idea. But my general MO is to not track. I don't like it. I think that it's a waste of my time and energy. It causes me to really think all the time about food. And I'm also one who feels if there are restrictions placed on me, I'm going to say, you're not the boss of me, and I'm going to rebel every time. I have a very rebellious spirit, but I did want to get a baseline of how am I performing here? I've been part of the keto way of life since 2016, and my brain automatically knows, okay, my pecans, they have 4 carbs per serving. If I eat that, I'm also getting 3 grams of fiber, which could be problematic, but I know what the things are. And I know what I'm roughly getting here and what I'm roughly getting in all of the foods that I consume. A slice of my pepper jack cheese, I know that's got 5 grams of protein. Solid. Okay, cool. My pepperoni, 14 grams of fat. Like just those little favorite foods that you use all the time, you just become so familiar with them. It's just rote information that you don't have to stop, consider, and then calculate in your mind. So I don't tend to love the tracking. But whenever I was listening to Amy discuss using chronometer, how do we say it? I don't even know how we say it. But when I was listening to them talk about that, or listening to Amy talk about that, I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. She said that the foods that are added on to chronometer are approved, verified, like they've been verified. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a try, because that's another piece of the puzzle with tracking is I don't want to waste my time plugging things in. I don't want to waste my time sifting through 17 different entries that are subject to error. So that's just another piece of it. So for today, I have officially started tracking just today, just to get an overarching idea of what do I consume in a day. And I mean, right now where I am on the East Coast, it is 2:40. I have already consumed 1,800 140 calories already. And I'm feeling solid about my life. I'm going to tell you that right now. I have had 59 or 56 grams of protein. I'm at, I never changed it from net carbs. It's set up as, it is set up as net carbs, which I dislike much. I'm at 10 carbs for today. And then I'm at 178 grams of fat so far. And I still have dinner to eat. And I'm probably going to do something with a pork chop or with, I got some ribeyes that we haven't had in a long time. So I don't know if my husband will want to grill or if we'll do the pork chops in the oven. We have a convection oven now, which is like wicked cool. I have not had one of those before. No, that's not true. We had it in Alaska. So I'm still gonna wind up with some protein. I'm definitely going to exceed my target of protein, which for my ideal weight or my typical set point of weight is right around 65 grams, 65 to 70 grams per day. And so I know I'm gonna overshoot that target, which means that tomorrow I'm probably gonna pull back on my breakfast. Today for breakfast, I had 3 eggs in 2 tablespoons of butter fried. I had 3 slices of the Wright's bacon fried, and then fat in my coffee. I did have black coffee at the beginning, and I did only make it to 12 hours of fasting today without really, considering whether, I was hungry or not. We had a bunch of errands to run, so I wanted to eat before that happened because I knew where we were going to be. There would be lots and lots of tempting smells, and I can be a bit of a grump whenever my stomach starts to grumble. So, what else? I've already had electrolytes today. I have been out of my Redmond Relight now, and they should be coming shortly, but I've been using some of the Perfect Keto electrolytes. I have had some of the Perfect Keto MCT oil powder. I'm not as fond of powdered ingredients right this minute, but I am using them because I did buy them when they had that big Memorial Day sale. I don't care for their keto base, with their exogenous ketones. I have tried that and pitted it against a different one, and I liked the other one better. And it could just be due to the fact that they've got so much sweetener in those. What else? There was some other thought processes that I had, but I have lost them, and so we are going to check some comments here. La, la, la. All right, so Trish is pretty close to Professor Toady. That's cool. Stephanie, you're from Indiana as well. Okay, Trish, do I drink a lot of water throughout the day? I tend to drink probably, I'd have to guesstimate, because usually my beverage of choice is going to be coffee first and foremost. And then I probably go through and drink about 64 ounces of water in a day, whether that's like a club soda sparkling water or like just a tap water, either one of those. But I've not been too concerned about the hydration of the water piece right now. All right, Virginia, you hate trekking too, so you never have. Yeah, I don't like it, and I don't find a ton of value in it, but I do want to be able to offer some sort of information to y'all, so that way you have some kind of an idea. Let's come back here. Barbara Keeler, how many calories approximately do you believe? Cals in, cals out? I would say cals in, cals out. No, I disagree with that pretty strongly. I think that it's impossible for us to kind of like measure our calorie expenditure with a fine-tooth comb. And I think eating to hunger, whenever you're eating foods that are not going to cause you inflammation or cause you to have insulin spikes and things like that, tends to be much more of a sound way of dealing with the whole calories thing. Because I mean, to be honest with you, our bodies, they just don't measure things in calories. It's just whether or not it applies, like, is it going to require glucose or insulin, or is it going to require ketones, or how is it, what's the body going to need to do with this input, more so than like, how much is it worth? But I also don't discredit anybody who does follow a calories in, calories out model. I just don't think that it's applicable based on what I know. All right. And I'm articulate with sharing that information right now because I've got 1,008 other things going on. We just got our homeschool curriculum for this upcoming school year, and so I'm like super jazzed about that and have that on my brain at the same time. So I'm a little bit divided in my brain right now. Trish, you've just started using Chronometer. There is a learning curve to it. I agree. I do appreciate the fact that if there is a barcode on it, I can scan it and it will give me some information that I think is reliable. You also have trouble keeping your protein low. It is super hard. It is super hard whenever protein is like the thing I love the most. Like I've been asked numerous times by my friend groups or, like in small groups or even here, like if you only had to have one food, you're on a desert island and you can only have one food, what are you having? Or, like you're limited, it's gonna be steak. It's gonna be steak and it's gonna be ribeyes because the fat to protein is much more 1-to-1. And then if I can have a second thing, it's gonna be coffee. Okay. Good afternoon, Briar Rose. Hello, Blaze Becker from Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah, you're welcome, Toady. And then we've got Cindy from Kentucky. Kimberly is all about that coffee life too, I see. Toady, your background is data analysis and statistics. So absolutely. If it is your jam, rock on. I just feel like it puts me in a box that I am unwilling to stay in. And steak so badly. Ogden, Utah, Gloria. We used to live in Lehigh, Utah, which obviously that's a little bit further south by like 40 minutes, but Jennifer is asking why no steak today. I don't know if you're asking that in reference to Briar Rose saying that she wanted steak, but it probably won't happen. I was able to get a couple of ribeyes on a sale price, on a special price, so that's how that worked out. And okay, reality check for me. In the past, if I would have found steak on sale, freezing steak immediately would have been the only thing preventing me from consuming the steak immediately. I could literally go eat. I think I got, was it almost 3 pounds of ribeye? I would have eaten all 3 pounds without thinking twice about it and still wanting more. It's definitely I don't want to say it's a trigger food because I don't think that it is, but it's one of those where I don't know that I necessarily ever feel full. And I'm starting to recognize that I definitely had a little bit of a problem with protein. My husband was making fun of me for the longest time with the protein thing. I would say, oh, where's the protein? We got to have more protein. Or I have some friends who had some different health concerns and they were talking about what their nutritionists were saying to them. And I was like, oh man, but protein, we got to have the protein. And now I'm looking back thinking, man, my brain was so addicted to protein that I couldn't help but push it to other people. And I don't feel that way right now, but I'm also, what is today? I don't know, I've been doing this for just a few days, 4 days or so. Gloria is also trying to figure out chronometer or chronometer. How are we saying that? Where are we putting the emphasis on this word? I would love to know. Hello, Naz. Thank you. I do love pink, green, and navy blue. Favorite colors. Briar Rose, you're back on coffee being cautious. Ice cold coffee or brew with heavy whipping cream. Yeah, cold coffee is gonna always be a hard pass for me, even when it's 115 degrees outside. When we lived in Arizona, I had a TMJ specialist that I would go see down in Scottsdale. And I would go to the TMJ specialist, we would take care of treatment, and then on my drive back up to where we were in Arizona, which was like a 5-hour drive, I would run through any one of the coffee shops and I would always tell them, can I get a black coffee with room for cream? And they would always say, okay, 1 iced coffee, room for cream. And I'm like, no, I know that it's 115 outside. And I know that that's what your thermometers are all shouting at you, but no, I need it hot. I cannot do the cold coffee. It's not in my capacity here. Gloria, you call it chronometer, okay? Oh, Jennifer was asking about Briar Rose, whether or not, or like what the reason behind no steak. Claudia, hello from Pine Top. Jennifer, or Briar Rose responded to Jennifer. My replays don't ever have the comments or the live chat on it, so that's why I'm reading that. If that bothers you, replay people, I'm so sorry. The price mostly. Briar Rose is trying to limit that protein. Claudia, oh, that would have been really cool. I was absolutely not anybody special, and I still am not. When we were in Lehigh, I was on I was on the kick with sprouting my grains, grinding my wheat, doing the Weston A. Price Foundation, sourdoughing, all of that stuff. That was, gosh, my middle was an infant at that point, so that's been a little while. Stephanie loves cold coffee. You may have all the cold coffee. And Jennifer, you ask, which electrolyte do I like better, Redmond's or Element-T? I don't know if it's Element or Element-T. Regardless, I've never tried Element or Element-T, whichever way you prefer to say that. I think the cost is a little bit steep, and I've used Redmond products. Gosh, when we lived in Lehigh, I was buying their toothpaste, their earth paste, at one of the natural grocers that was really close to us. And when we lived in Alaska, I was able to get that off the shelves. And then we got to Wisconsin, and I kind of like, I let that kind of piece of the puzzle fall away. So I kind of stepped away from all of the Redmond things for a little while because I didn't have access to a natural grocery store at that point. And I was just using a variety of other things like xylitol toothpaste and that sort of thing. Claudia, well, thank you for telling me I'm special. You went through Weston A. Price phase 2. It is so hard to do all the things. I was soaking oats. I was sprouting all of my wheat berries. And then I turned around and flipped the switch and did just grinding the raw berries and then going through and sourdoughing them. I had my kombucha. You can actually probably see kombucha video and kombucha in my videos from years past. And then I was doing milk kefir. I was doing gingerbug, trying to make my own sodas. I made watermelon sodas, all kinds of things. Blaze, it's Element from what you have seen. Okay, for the electrolytes, yeah, I have not tried them. Redmond is great. I love Redmond. I like the flavor. I like the saltiness. I think the perfect keto is, it's fine. It's just real sweet, like real sweet. Not exactly my best, my favorite. I really like the Redmond. Blaze, coffee is a hard pass for you. Oh, that's a bummer that it gives you the headaches, but at least you're aware of what the cause is. I think that is half the battle. And Ellen. All right. Okay. So to kind of recap the very short list of benefits that I've seen from hitting a ketovore high protein way of life and shifting back over to a high fat way of life, and I'm restricting my protein. Like, okay, reverse it. I have never restricted fat unless I was doing Trim Healthy Mama and trying to do a high carb, low fat meal. I've not been a restrictor of fat. I just found it always to be an annoyance to attempt to restrict it. And a lot of the protein sparing friendly things that I produced, I would always add fat to them. Or like in my What I Eat in a Day videos, if I didn't have fat added to something that was PSMF, I would wind up being very hungry shortly thereafter, or I would try to force myself to stay fasted longer, or whatever the case may have been, but it was more of a struggle. So on any time that I've not been on a What I Eat in a Day video, I've never restricted fat. I really haven't. It's not in my capacity or my desire to restrict the fat. And I would always say, well, not always, but often say, I am really trying to get as much protein as possible and trying to restrict my carbs. And trying to focus on getting up to the right amount of protein rather than trying to hit a fat macro. Today, right now as I speak, I'm already at 178 grams of fat and feeling pretty fantastical about that. So I don't restrict fat. I had a point there. But the recap, that's where I was going. Recap of how going from a high protein, moderate fat, low carb, back over to high fat, moderate protein, and low carb. I have been able to fast with ease thus far for 12 to 15 hours, which I feel like is a pretty solid amount of just day-to-day fasting. And my satiety has been super great. I have felt some water weight just kind of like dissolve out of my body. That has been fantastic. And I'm just gonna keep going with it. I feel like fat really feeds my brain way better than the protein was. And yeah, it's been going very well for me. Okay, just another couple of minutes and then I've got some work to move on to do. Trish, is kombucha not keto? The way I was doing it, I was fermenting it until it was practically vinegar. So it was basically sugarless at that point. I think it really depends on how you brew your kombucha or how long you ferment it. And I would never trust kombucha off the shelves. So Briar Rose loves my pink tank. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's summertime, therefore we're doing the things. All right, Patricia, when I say 178 grams of fat, what am I eating? I have been eating bacon. So all of the grease from the bacon. I've had butter on my eggs. My egg yolks have been fat. I have had the MCT oils today as well. And I've also had my homemade mayonnaise. That's what I've had. That is what I've had. Nope, that's the wrong. Let me plug that in, see what else here. So I've had the MCT oil, eggs, the bacon, the butter, obviously, MCT oil. Oh, I've had some pork rinds today as well. My pepperoni, I had a serving of pepperoni. That's 14 grams right there of fat. Yeah, those have been my fat sources for today. I've gotten back to a little bit of dairy here and there. Oh, I've had some cheese. So that was, about 8 grams of fat for the amount of cheese that I consumed. So that's been kind of my sources for fat. Tonight, if I do my pork chops, it's gonna be the fat off of the pork chops. They are some thick cut pork chops. I think they have the bone in them. So that's where my fat will come from for dinner. And it'll be great. It'll be great. And then I'll probably douse some vegetables also in fat. And when I say vegetables, I mean like either some cabbage or some zucchini. I'm going to try to keep it easy. So Briar Rose, you feel like Dr. Boz, her version of moderate protein is low protein, which is frustrating. Yeah. I definitely can see that. I mean, like going from 150 grams of protein down to 65 grams of protein is a major shift, considering the fact that I would literally go into that kitchen and eat, 2 dozen eggs a day if I could, which would be a significant volume of protein for my height and weight, ideal set point weight. So that is hard. And I do like the idea of going a little bit more gradually and stepping it down. And yeah, I want to see how that all plays out. Gloria, have I tested my glucose and ketone totals? I have not. I have not found my meters as of yet. We still have, our house has an attached garage and then a shop. And the attached garage still has some warehouse style rows of boxes that we're still trying to sift through and get brought into the house. And then the shop has another couple of warehouse style rows of things. So I have not yet found my monitors. I have separate glucose and ketone monitors. I don't have like a Keto Mojo or anything like that. So I will have to get back to testing those for that sake. But yeah, I have in the past tested for those numbers because I do think that those numbers are interesting because those are more results based, but I can also understand from a statistician's perspective, having the input data and then having the output data would give a much fuller, more complete contextual picture. So I don't know. I missed some things. Stephanie, you have lost 50 pounds doing this. That is fan-stinkin-tastic. I feel like you deserve a high five. That was a high five from me to you. Losing weight, feeling 20 pounds or 20 years younger, that is always a huge blessing when you feel more vital, Stephanie. Okay, that's literally all the amount of time that I have today, you guys. I really appreciate all of you being here. This is the most people I've ever had on a live stream before. I cannot tell you how much that blesses my heart and soul. And that is so fun. I'm not a crier, but I am like a really excited person. So I truly appreciate y'all being here today. I hope that you'll be here for the next one. Live, actually like filmed video, whichever way it happens to go. Again, computer is still in a box, so editing Lindsey is still kind of MIA. But anyway, I hope to see y'all next time.